Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Town Board of the Town of Ossining work session for October 2nd, 2018. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have some crazy weather going on right now, and I just want to thank you, those people who made it, people who are around this table, and those in the audience. And soon, hopefully, we'll have one more person in the audience, and thank you to him as well. We have a short meeting tonight. We have Mark Thielking and Sarah Smiley with us from Energize New York, also known as the Energy Improvement Corporation, to discuss a new option for PACE financing, which the town can consider adopting as an amendment to our agreement with the EIC. Then we are going to get out our calendars and look at dates. Oh, I just saw that you got rained on.
You think?
Yeah. For budget meetings with department heads. Before we get started, I have a few, well, maybe more than a few short announcements. Westchester County shared with us this evening that the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, in coordination with the Federal Communications Commission, FCC, will conduct a nationwide test of the Wireless Emergency Alert, WEA, and Emergency Alert System, EAS, tomorrow, October 3rd, 2018. The Wireless Emergency Alert portion of the test starts at 2:18, and the EAS portion follows at 2:20 p.m. The test will assess the operational readiness of the infrastructure for distribution of a national message and determine whether technological improvements are needed. And supposedly it's going out on radio, television, smartphones, etc. So look out for that. We are getting closer to Election Day, which is Tuesday, November 5th. And I wrote that and forgot to double check, but I think that that's the right date, right? Is it the 6th? I meant
the 6th.
The 6th. I'm sorry. Tuesday, November 6th. Please be sure to register to vote if you have not yet done so. And I believe you have until October 12th to do that. Also, if you believe you will not be able to make it to your polling place between 6 a.m. and 9 p.m., please request an absentee ballot. Both forms can be downloaded from the Westchester County Board of Elections website at citizenparticipation.westchestergov.com. Tomorrow, Wednesday, October 3rd, the Army Corps of Engineers will be hosting public scoping sessions on their proposals to address storm surge and climate change affecting our region. The sessions are from 3 to 5 and 6 to 8 p.m. at the Westchester County Center. They have a number of options that they have proposed, but we have been advised by groups such as Riverkeeper and others that the plans did not take into account sea level rise and other factors that could impact some of the proposed remedies and negatively impact the Hudson River communities as well as the Sound Shore communities with potentially catastrophic results. So we ask that you please take the time to be informed and voice your concerns and go down to the county center for one of those two sessions tomorrow. As I mentioned last week, we have launched the Project Forward website, which you can access through a link on the townofossining.com website to weigh in with your opinion about some ideas for streamlining government services at the town level. You should also be receiving a postcard in the mail reminding you of the same in the next week or so. Please do take the time to read the material and share your thoughts with us. We want to hear from you. The Village of Ossining Water Department, which also serves unincorporated town residents, started their semi-annual hydrant flushing program yesterday, October 1st. Flushing of hydrants will be performed between 9 p.m. and 1 a.m. in order to minimize disruptions to our residents. The hydrant flushing program takes approximately 5 weeks to complete. As the flushing of hydrants takes place closer to your home, you may notice some discoloration in your water first thing in the morning. Do not be alarmed. Just run your water for a short period of time and it should clear up. If the discoloration persists, please notify the water department at 941-6111. Tomorrow night, Ferry Sloop's Fall Lecture Series kicks off with a film from the Hudson River Stories series by director John Bowermaster. The films examine a handful of serious and growing threats to the Hudson River, the positive efforts to preserve the river, and the opportunity to learn about how we can better serve our region and environment. The screening tomorrow will be followed by a short Q&A with John Bowermaster. Admission is free and open to the public, starting at 7:30 p.m. at Chattahoochee Yacht Club. Go to ferrysloops.org for more info. This Saturday, October 6th, is the Green Ossining Townwide Tag Sale. Registration has closed already for this fall sale, but be sure to follow the Green Ossining Townwide Tag Sale, Ossining and Briarcliff Manor, to see what great finds will be for sale next Saturday. For more information, visit greenossining.org. Also on Saturday, October 6th, Cedar Lane Pavilion will be the spot for the Forest of Fears silent auction and potluck dinner. Bring a dish to share and participate in the auction. Get to know the guys and ghouls putting the event together and see how you can get involved. The fun starts at 5 p.m. and goes till 7. Email FOF ASST directors, so that's Forest of Fears, FOF ASST directors at gmail.com for more information. There is still time to get your tickets for the hayride. They're $18 until the day of the event, and prices go up if you need to buy them at the gate. Don't wait. Hurry. Go to forestofears.org to ensure that you get tickets for the ride time of your choice. That's you guys in the audience. Don't forget. That very evening at 7:30 p.m., Westchester Collaborative Theater will host award-winning jazz vocalist Lynette Washington featuring Dennis Bell of Jazz New York. Come down to 23 Water Street for a night of live music right here in Ossining on October 6th. Visit wctheater.org for your tickets. The Bethany Arts Community also has some fun events coming up in October. Learn how to grow garlic, mushrooms, shoots, and sprouts. Take a look at Bethany's calendar for more info on their website and other upcoming events at bethanyarts.org. They will also be hosting a preview of the Ossining Arts Council's Open Studio Tour. Check it out on Friday, October 5th between 5 and 7 p.m. before the Open Gallery from October 7th to 12th. The Open Studio Tours? I think they're just on. Oh, they have their Open Gallery of the Artists from 10 a.m. At 10 a.m. from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. from October 7th to the 12th. Sorry about that. And the Open Studio Tours, I believe, are Saturday, October 13th. And there are maps available on the Ossining Arts Council website. On Thursday, October 11th, Senator David Carlucci and Assemblywoman Sandy Galiff will be hosting the annual senior fair in the Ossining Community Center gym between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. If you are a senior or you have seniors in your life, the presentations at this annual event will provide you with some great information to navigate the complex world of Medicare, Social Security, and more. Another exciting October event is the Crossover Yoga Project, which will be holding their first annual fundraiser at our very own Cedar Lane Arts Center on October 12th. Be a part of celebrating their 3 years of empowering over 2,500 at-risk girls in detention centers, prisons, and residential treatment centers throughout Westchester through trauma-informed yoga, mindfulness, and creative art therapy. Learn more and get your tickets at crossoveryogaproject.org. On the evening of Sunday, October 14th, come out for happy hour on the Hudson, benefiting the Ossining Children's Center. Between 5 p.m. and 7 p.m., the OCC will host a lovely event at Factoria at Charles Point in Peekskill. Come for the craft beers, live music, and delicious appetizers, and stay for the amazing view, all while raising funds for the Children's Center Tuition Assistance Program. Visit OssiningChildrenCenter.org to grab your tickets today. October 20th is another big day in Ossining. Start off the day with a quick run around town when you join the Ossining PBA for their Foot Pursuit 5K. The race starts and ends in our very own Cedar Lane Park before heading on to the local roads. Included with the price of registration is a beautiful view of the Hudson. If you are one of the first 3 finishers, you'll have to beat the chief, and he just completed a half Ironman race, so you'd better start training now. You could win a 3-month membership to Club Fit and lots of other prizes. So enroll your family today. Visit the Ossining PBA Facebook page for a link to the registration site. The first 50 people to sign up get some PBA swag, and all proceeds go to benefit a scholarship fund for Ossining children. Later that night is something very special. Join the Jug Tavern of Sparta for a night of banjo and fiddle music when Tim Rowell and Ambrose Vertibello perform at the Jug. There are 2 seatings. One at 5. Why did I think it said 3? 5 and 7. I thought it was 3. I thought it was 3 and 7. Yeah. It does. Wait. I had the flyer. I'm going to find the flyer. I have the flyer. I'm finding it. Okay, we'll get back to the Jug Tavern. Actually, no, since that's almost the last thing, I'm gonna find it right now, just so we can have correct times for the Jug Tavern event. I know I have you in here somewhere. Where are you? Sorry, that's there. Okay, great. 3 and 7 p.m. With a $5 suggested donation at the door. But I caution you, make sure to get there with plenty of time to spare, especially sign up because both seatings are packed. And this year is an all new program, and the Jug is a tiny venue. I suggest you reserve your seats early by emailing events@jugtavern.org. Let me just see if I feel like I covered almost everything. I just wanted to. There's a farm to table dinner at Fable. It is sold out. You guys missed out on that. Sorry. Bethany, we talked about. We talked about that. Oh, I think these. The only other thing is that their third annual Halloween Kids and Pet Parade is October 27th. And that's from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And that is going to be at the Elks. The parade kicks off at the Elks Lodge at 118 Croton Avenue and marches to Risco Music at 44 Croton Avenue. And that's all you need to know about that. And then there is a free rabies clinic for dogs, cats, and ferrets of Westchester County residents from 11:30 to 3:30 at the Humane Society of Westchester in New Rochelle. For more information, call the Humane Society 914-632-2925. And that's Sunday, October 21st. And not to be forgotten, please do sign up for Sing Sing Swing. I have to show you because it's such a pretty poster. A unique up the river cruise to benefit the Sing Sing Prison Museum. Departure November 18th with big band Vince Giordano and the Nighthawks. It is going to be a fantastic night on the river. So come on out and support the Ossining Sing Sing Prison Museum. Ooh, name change. Sorry about that. Okay. And finally, we have a very special day coming up in the town and village of Ossining. Wednesday, October 10th, is Organ Donor Enrollment Day in this area. Did you know that New York State is in last place nationwide for percentage of population that are organ donors? Bet you didn't know that. We all know New York is number one. So on Wednesday the 10th, we're partnering with Live on New York to participate in a 4th annual Organ Donor Enrollment Day. Last year, Team Ossining secured the highest number of enrollments for a municipal team, and we're looking forward to reaching that goal once again this year with your help. Join me, my fellow elected officials, organ donors, and those whose lives have been saved by organ donation by signing up. If you have already talked to your family, friends, and coworkers about organ donation, one person signing up could save up to 8 lives. Visit liveonny.org to learn more. We're going to have a press conference here at 9:30 a.m. on the 10th to kick off the day, and we have lots of sites all around, including community center, the library. High school is actually going to be hosting it on October 9th because they have PSAT Day on the 10th, and a number of other venues around town, which we will have a little bit more information for you about next week. So please check it out and sign up. All right, now we're going to launch into our work session items for the evening. Mark and Sarah, thanks so much for coming to discuss the new PACE product with us tonight. Told you I'd talk for at least 10 minutes, Mark.
So I'm Mark Thielking. I'm the co-executive director of the Energy Improvement Corporation, and the Energy Improvement Corporation is better known as Energize New York. We have several services that we provide to our members. We're a local development corporation owned and controlled by municipalities around the state, like the town of Ossining. And the services we provide are related to energy efficiency and renewable energy improvements in buildings, inclusive of what's called PACE financing, or Property Assessed Clean Energy Financing. We most recently were in front of you to amend certain documents related to PACE financing that allows more accessibility and more availability for PACE financing for your residents. And with that change, allows for us to offer new products to your consumers and your residents. And what's in front of us today is a new product that's called Pay When Received PACE. The product allows for much larger projects to occur within the town. It also relieves the municipality of the obligation to pay the financing charge on behalf of the property owner if there's a tax delinquency. So while this product doesn't necessarily replace our existing Energized New York PACE financing product, it does offer a new avenue for very large projects to come into the town, particularly redevelopment projects, projects that larger property owners may need excess capital from out of state to provide for the lower cost capital to be deployed. We've seen a lot of interest from entities from outside the state to leverage this type of product because the obligation for the municipality is relieved to pay during delinquency. We thought this would be a natural fit for most of our members, and we think there'll be some active projects here in the town. So we're in front of you today as one of the earlier members to start to consider approving this. So we have a couple of documents that we sent ahead. One is the addendum to our existing agreement. We also sent along a comparison between the two products. The comparison shows the Energized New York PACE 2.0 product, which is currently active here in the town. We've finished one project about a year and a half ago with Terra Tile, and that type of product will continue to be offered in the PACE 2.0 format. What we're considering tonight is the Pay When Received product, and there's not, there is differences in the sense that a lot of the projects that will be coming through, the criteria and the approach to those projects will be determined by the capital provider that chooses to operate here in the town. It's not a ubiquitous set of capital like we have for our PACE 2.0 product. It really is determined by capital providers that have found a project to develop, and that project then meets their criteria. The biggest change, again, related to the town is that while under PACE 2.0, the municipality is obligated to collect, remit, enforce the repayment on the tax bill, and that enforcement happens regardless, and the payment actually happens regardless of the property owner's own tax bill record. The Pay When Received product relieves the municipality of that obligation.
How does that work exactly? How does that piece work? That if we don't have to pay it when they default. Oh, sorry.
The way it
How does
would
that work?
work is the first step is that we would identify that project before it even gets going as a Pay When Received project. So right off the bat, you would recognize that that's a different type of project than our regular PACE 2.0 projects. If the project does move forward and we sign an agreement and we then move forward with financing it, the obligation to pay or repay that financing on the tax bill does not change. Your obligation to add the charge to the tax bill does not change. And your obligation to collect and enforce that charge does not change. What changes is that if there's a tax delinquency, that property does not pay their tax, you would not be obligated to pay regardless of that. So you would you'd be relieved of that, and we would only pay off or pay that payment when the property owner pays their tax, which could be 2 months late, or it could be through an in-rem process.
Okay. Got it. So we have less risk to a
Less
certain
risk.
extent, right? And it opens up more possibilities. It's an enhancement to what we currently have to offer based on the capital providers, essentially. Capital providers are more interested because basically there's maybe a little bit more risk involved for them. I'm not exactly sure, but they're willing to take the risk because there's on the other side of it, they stand to gain more. Yes.
Well, it's a little more complicated than that.
Okay.
The way PACE works in other states is very similar to Pay When Received. And so these capital providers that have done a lot of PACE projects in, say, Toledo, Ohio, and Minneapolis, and other states are used to this format. So for them to come into New York State and actually comply with the PACE 2.0 product is actually very costly. So they're happy to relieve you of that obligation, but they ask for the same obligation that you have under PACE 2.0, that you would still add the tax charge to the bill, collect, and enforce that as you would normally do. That's part of the agreement, and you would do that in a timely manner. And then the other aspect is that they would want more control over the project. So, for example, we have a minimum finance amount of $25,000. they don't want a minimum or a maximum. So they're going to have a little bit more control over certain aspects that we would not have, or we would impose under the 2.0 project. We want to protect our members. Because you're relieved of the obligation, those control factors are relieved somewhat, so they can do more flexible projects as well.
Got it. And the I was just gonna say that given that flexibility to just I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, right. It's still they're still going to be looking though at the improvements as they relate to the amount of capital. In terms of, I mean, isn't that the point of why it's called property assessed clean energy?
They'll still be looking at the viability of each project.
Mhm.
The NYSERDA, New York State guidelines on what qualifies for PACE still applies to these projects.
Right. Okay.
But some aspects, for example, our cap of loan to value, which is 35% under 2.0,
Right.
that's relieved. So they could do something that's 50% or 70%.
Right.
But the other side of that is that they don't want these projects to default.
Right.
So they're going to be looking more at the property owner specifically, and they're going to be actually vetting them, probably even they're going to be actually restricting their capital in a much more direct way than the way we would offer 2.0. So in a way, it's like, yeah, if they have a really good credit and like that's AAA and excellent, they may offer more financial flexibility to that property owner, but they probably won't be offering this to only but the best credits in theory. But we have yet to see. Other states have done tens of millions of dollars worth of projects under this format, and they're usually very large projects. So again, we think it fits well because it relieves the municipality of that obligation, and we're likely to see much bigger projects.
Hello, board.
Hi.
Might any of you have any questions?
I think all the different financing options that don't make us liable is great.
Sounds good.
Do you have questions?
How will the different products coexist? Like, will someone make a determination right off the bat that we're going for the X type of financing as opposed to Y, or is it if you don't meet this criteria, then you go to pay when received, or how does that work?
Usually, what we found, what we're hearing, is the pay when received projects will be self-directed in a way. Like the developer will actually come to us saying, "We have a project for you, and it's in the town of Ossining," and it will actually come to us almost like a baked thing. Whereas a lot of the 2.0 projects are coming to us not at all set up. So
Okay.
we have to work with them on developing their project, and that's one of the services we offer under 2.0 is that we help property owners move forward with projects. Under pay when received, we're not really doing that as an entity. These projects will come in more or less on their own. And so our obligation as working in your behalf is to make sure that they meet the criteria that is under the law and also meet the New York State criteria. But from that perspective, it's going to be a lot simpler for us to do these projects. So we won't be directing people to pay when received per se.
Okay. I guess my only other question was in the local law that the town board adopted to facilitate this. It still contemplates the old method of payment that the municipality has to do. It has to pay within 30 days of the amount being owed. So is this something, or I don't know if you've spoken to any other municipalities, if we should be amending the local law to reflect that? Because I know the agreement, the addendum does clarify that in the agreement.
Does
So, but the local law, unless it's amended, would still reflect that the town has to pay. I mean, I guess if no one's enforcing it because the agreement is in place, but it was just something that.
Yeah, I think the local law. I mean, our council believes the local law is flexible enough to accommodate the addendum's restriction that within so the addendum says within 30 days of the date of payment is due to be made to the town or remit payment to an EIC trust account. But then it says the town will have no obligation to make such payments unless municipalities actually receive such payments.
Right, yeah, it just doesn't say that part in the
In the
local
local
law.
law. I think, I don't know, our council believes that the local law is broad enough to be able to accommodate the addendum, but we can I'm not sure that we would want to go back and amend the local
I mean,
law.
I don't, yeah, obviously you don't want to have to go through that procedural step, but if it's something that substantively is inconsistent, it's just something to consider as you're talking to the other municipalities, I guess.
There's one question I just happened to think of. This is for, is this for, say, homeowners? This is only for business?
It could be apartments. Like it would be bigger, larger projects though. Commercial projects.
Yeah, PACE in general, it's for only commercially owned or not-for-profit entities, which can include apartment buildings. It can include co-ops. It would not include condos, and it would not include homes that are owned individually. But the pay when received product is actually for much larger projects. So you'd have to have a very large apartment building, for example, to take advantage of it generally.
Just out of curiosity, is like for a new like development of, I don't know, 9 or 10 single family homes, would the developer be able to?
No, because if they're intended to be owned by individuals, we would not offer it to them because even though maybe the construction phase is owned by a corporate entity,
Right.
because it flips to an individual,
Right.
we would probably not offer that way. If it was intended to be owned by a cooperative, for example, there's like a lot of cooperative, maybe 3-unit attached type entities where there's a cooperative agreement to own the land, something like that, we could consider that. But unlikely if it's the title's held by an individual.
And just a consensus, is this something that we put on our agenda for next week? It sounds to me like everybody would be in favor as long as we just clarify that one point maybe with council about the local law.
I'll follow up with our council on that, and maybe we'll circle back.
That's good. All right.
And we have. We did
already
already.
have
Okay.
flyers.
All right.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for coming out in this horrible weather. We very much appreciate it. Okay, so on our very long agenda, let me see where we're at. Actually, I've lost it under all my papers. But it is the budget 2019 calendar and priority discussion. And Madeline Zahach, who is our budget director, will guide us through the next steps that we're taking to prepare the 2019 budget. Maddie has been working very hard in conjunction with our Deputy Comptroller, Dale Ferreira, to prepare the budget in a form that we can work with, which is always difficult with our current system, Munis. And today we started our meetings with department heads. Maddie, thank you for all your hard work. Can you take us through the next steps, please?
Absolutely. Good evening. So as the supervisor mentioned, we started our budget meetings this morning. We have a couple more tomorrow, and then we have one that needed to be rescheduled, but we're planning to finish up by the end of this week. If the board's familiar, we generally have this first meeting with the supervisor and myself, and then either one or two representatives from the finance office who, we sort of sit with the department head and go through all of their requests. We also have a goals sheet that we provide to them when we hand out the initial request packet that basically asks them to think creatively about some changes that they might like to make in their budget this year. So whether it's changing the responsibilities of personnel, adding a program, getting rid of a program that they're not finding as effective, changing software, so on. And I am very glad to say that so far most of our department heads have really brought some thoughtful ideas to the table. You can tell that they've absolutely taken their time in coming up with some of those ideas, so we're very grateful for that. Before we get into the priorities, though, I asked everyone if they could bring a calendar or just sort of some sense of their schedule over the next couple of weeks. What I have in the budget calendar for reviews by the town board is the week of November 5th and the week of November 12th, which obviously is a little bit tighter than usual because we have a holiday in each of those weeks.
Just to make it challenging.
Right, just to keep it exciting. So Tuesday the 6th is election day, so we would be having our work session on Wednesday the 7th. And then the following week, we have a holiday, Veterans Day is observed on Monday the 12th. So I know that in the past we've kind of done some like marathon meetings. We've tried to take a couple department heads at a time and maybe do one on an afternoon, like a block of a few hours, then one in the morning. Would that still be the preference at this point? Okay. Are there any dates that we can eliminate altogether? Or would you like me to just try to schedule them around? I think Liz, your schedule is the
Oh my God.
bumpiest.
Yeah.
Those 2 weeks we have.
Yeah, the Tuesdays and Wednesdays are better, with the Wednesdays being better of the two.
Wednesdays are preferable.
I don't know how that works with anybody else's schedule.
We can check with Councilman Dottori, but perhaps one, we could do the afternoon of the 7th, going into the work session in the evening. And then the following Wednesday morning, which would be the 14th. Tentatively, does that sound okay?
Tentatively, it sounds good. I'll have to just give me the exact hour so I can.
Did you say yes or no?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The Wednesday, the 14th in the afternoon doesn't work for me, but the morning does.
The morning does. Okay.
I have something from 8 to 9 that morning.
Okay, so if we could start a little later, maybe. All right, and of course, all this is subject to Councilman Dottori being available. I do want to remind the board that these are public meetings because you're all going to be assembled. So if members of the public want to join us, they're certainly welcome to do so. But basically, we sit and we talk when we go line by line, and then if the board has any specific priorities that they want to sort of highlight to the department head or vice versa, that's really the time to have that conversation. So I will send out an email sort of reminding everyone of those dates. The only other question I have is the following week is a town hall meeting scheduled. And that's usually when we do a budget presentation. And then the following week we have the budget public hearing. Does that still sound like an appropriate sequence to everyone?
Right. So
Say that again?
what's it? Give us the dates of those.
Sorry. So now the board is meeting with department heads on Wednesday the 7th and Wednesday the 14th.
Right.
The following week, our meeting Tuesday night is a town hall meeting. So in years past, we've taken that opportunity to do a budget presentation to the community. So we do a PowerPoint, anyone who's interested and wants to ask questions. And then the following week, which is the 27th, would be the actual public hearing on the budget.
Now, do you think maybe you could get me that list there? Because I can't tell you for sure that I can make all these dates.
Of course.
Most of them are. Most of these are Tuesday nights. We would have had a meeting when we would have had a meeting.
But you mean just like the daytime stuff? Absolutely. Yep.
Along, if it's Tuesday night, put it on the list.
Yep, absolutely. I'll put together something comprehensive and everybody can have final veto power on that. And then as far as priorities are concerned, I'm happy to share with you after we've sat down with all the department heads all of the goals that they've provided to us, but I'm just sort of curious if there's anything that you want us to be relaying as the board's sense of what your priorities are for next year's budget to them as they come to us in these meetings.
I like to keep the taxes as low as possible. So, the least amount of money we can spend getting the most, obviously. Well, isn't that the whole point?
It is. Of course.
So
We also have, needs that
we have
try to meet
priorities,
for
yes.
Our public needs and what the taxes pay for and how the money is distributed.
No, I
in the
get
budget.
that.
So, a lot of times each one of you has particular foci that you have within your own, whether you live, work, play.
I'd still like to see
enjoy-
Sally's Folk Park actually finished.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay,
Something like
I would
that.
still like to see that actually cleaned up in some way, shape, or form.
2020.
Yeah, I just wrote 2020 on that one this morning, so I guess. I'll be reversed.
Also, as we're focusing on collaborating with other municipalities, I'd like to see some collaboration between different departments to keep costs down, things like that, getting creative. I think we've been working to do that, and I'd like to see the departments working to do that, to be more creative, to provide more services, less cost, that kind of
And thank you again for highlighting our project forward. Another opportunity for you to take a look at some of the thoughts that we have on ways that we might be able to consolidate and streamline services. Projectforward2.com. Projectforwardtoo.com. You can go directly there, or you can go to the town website at townofossining.com, and there's a nice bar right at the top that you can click on, learn all about some thoughts that we've had on that. Anything else from you, Mr. Wiltshire? No?
Oh, I have one more. Cedar Lane Park, the area that used to be a football field. I'm hearing it's not that playable anymore, and we're having some issues with field availability with soccer when in the fall, when there's soccer and football going. Is there a way to or money to get that field usable again?
I know that we've had in the capital plan, I'm not sure if it was included this year for next year or something along those lines. I guess the surface is uneven, that's why it's unplayable, right? So something about installing a sprinkler system so that it's better maintained, but then also evening it out, which I think are both jobs that we can do in-house.
Issue that's deeper than that at Cedar Lane, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
But we need to have further discussion with our parks foreman about that.
It's on the radar in any event.
Yes, and it did come up. Bill Garrison actually brought it up
Great.
earlier this month to me, so we'll hopefully have some follow-up discussions about that. Okay.
And we'll have that. We had a list of roads we wanted to pave that we were already working on, so we'll see where we are with those.
Oh,
Yep. When we get everything done, the budget submission date as dictated by New York State law is October 30th, I believe. I'm really hoping to have it done the Friday before that so that everyone can enjoy their Halloween and not like be creeped out like me, for example. So when we submit that, you'll see the draft capital plan as well. So you'll be able to see how we've sort of sequenced the projects. So we obviously know we have a ton of parks projects. We have some highway projects, sewer, lift stations, generators, that kind of thing. So you can kind of follow the trail and see if you think that we've gotten the priorities right. So you can kind of tweak that with us as well.
Yeah.
And I just want to say thank you to all of our department heads who handed in the budget. They're all doing really creative stuff and trying to like you said, do more with less and kind of, reallocate their staffing in a way that makes a little bit more sense. And, specifically, I would like to thank Holly because Holly's doing a really fantastic job and she's running that office a little bit tighter than they used to, but they're all doing a fantastic job. Yes.
and we're also
with our postal challenges.
Against all odds.
Yes, and we also want to thank Holly and her staff in the receiver's office for all of the work that they did last week to collect the first half school taxes for Ossining Briarcliff, and that was given what she believes was probably 400 plus pieces of, I'm going to say, lost mail that never made it to the homes. And we did send out an extra mailing with a reminder that there were pieces that were lost to those who had not yet paid their second half school taxes and first half, sorry. And we were hoping that did help, and that was mailed locally, and we believe that got to everybody who it needed to get to. So thanks again for our tax receiver Perlowitz for all your hard work.
I just wanted to add to that about the mail. I didn't get no mail yesterday, and I didn't have any when I left home tonight.
Really?
So
Maybe you don't owe anybody any money.
okay,
Yes.
I can
Well,
live with that.
This is an ongoing concern, and we're happy to bring those concerns
You're
back to
right.
the post office. And we have been working very closely in our local post office. This was a problem. We believe something happened when the mail was dropped at a different location. It didn't come through White Plains initially, and we think it was lost farther upstate someplace. So our local post office has been working very hard with us to try to figure out what the issue was and to try to address it going forward. So we thank them for that. And we hope that they can continue to deliver the local mail on time. What else? I think that's
it, unless
pretty much
and if anyone thinks of anything in the
for
meanwhile.
work session. So I'm going to actually take a motion to go into executive session for contracts and advice of counsel and personnel.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks, everybody. And we will see you next week at the courthouse at 8688 Spring Street at 7:30 p.m. on October 9th. That's Tuesday night. And we do have a public hearing on our proposed solar code that evening. So we hope you will. And
Town offices are closed on Monday.
oh, yes, thank you. I actually had that in my notes, which I've now filed away and can't find anymore. Yes, I want to wish everybody a very happy Indigenous Peoples Day, which some people still refer to as Columbus Day. And the town hasn't decided to change that or anything like that, but I'm just going to say that. Also, very important, thank you for reminding me, there is a super fantastic something that we need to celebrate on Monday, October 8th. It happens to be Maddie Zahach's birthday. Please join me in wishing her a very happy birthday and congratulations, Maddie, on making sure we had a day off to celebrate. I know how important that is to you. We'll see you, everybody, next week, 8688 Spring Street. Have a great week. Happy birthday, Maddie.
Happy birthday, Maddie.
And Christy, and Christy.
And Christy, and
Christy.
Christy, and Christy, and Christy.
And my wife too.
And Jesse.
Oh yeah, Jesse. Okay. Happy birthday to all on October 8th, Monday. And we'll see you all next week on Tuesday. Thanks and have a great night.